Here we go. Let's talk about this. Washington president says new team name won't be Warriors and must have, quote, no ties to Native American imagery. Okay, well, we know Washington definitely needs a new team, or new name, no doubt about that. I don't want to call this the Washington football team ever again, honestly. I'm kind of annoyed that I have to do it this entire season as well. Really should have just been a one-and-done thing. You should have had this all figured out, but you had to deal with your sexual scandal, sexual abuse, sexual assault scandal for the last 2 seasons, so, having a new name wasn't the most important thing to do. So you better clean this up come next year, 2022. But the fact that you have to have no ties to Native American imagery, I think you were going kind of, like 1,000% overcorrection. Obviously, using the term Redskins, obviously was not the greatest. I still don't know what the jury is on that name. I mean, the only group of people that matters is the Native Americans themselves. And from what we've heard, we haven't heard from a lot of Native Americans, but I believe, remembering hearing from one Native American that was like, yeah, we don't really care, or we don't really see that as racist. It was just kind of the Twitter mafia, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't have, like I said, I didn't research all the information. It's just what I kind of remember from the last time we talked about this. But I think kind of just taking it can't have no ties to Native American imagery. Well, just don't do something racist. I mean, we could find non-racist things to talk about Native Americans, can't we? Is everything that you say about Native Americans inherently, instantly racist? I don't think so. So let's see what we get here in the article about kind of what some of the names they may be throwing out are, because this kind of came as a complete surprise to me. I didn't even know we were talking about Washington names anymore. We talked about it kind of heavily last year, but it kind of fell off ever since then, and I didn't know we resumed the conversation. So let's see what we get in this article right here to kind of see what they're kind of leaning towards. We did talk about it last year. I will kind of maybe bring that up for tomorrow's show because we had a real good name. It was like the Washington... I'm not going to remember. We did a whole segment on it. It was good. All right, but let's go into this article. Here we go. By the start of next season, Washington football team will have an entirely new identity. Oh, that's great. That's exactly what we just said. So great. Fantastic. Good. What the franchise's future name, logo, and look will be is still being worked out by team brass. Washington president, now is this kind of, day-to-day picture stuff, or is this overall big picture stuff? Because we know, because of the sexual assault allegations that, Dan Snyder kind of was only working on the new stadium, and that his wife was working on kind of the day-to-day operation. So who's going to be in charge of the name? We'll see. Washington president Jason Wright revealed in an essay posted Monday on the team's website part of the criteria for determining Washington's next step in its lengthy rebranding process. In short, the franchise will feature absolutely no ties to Native American imagery going forward. But then you're just kind of, ruining the history of your team. That was kind of the name, the team, Native Americans, paying respect to that. Obviously, you did it in a little bit of a racial tone, so just dial down the racist tone. But now you're kind of, taking all that history away. And don't we all love history in this country? I mean, geez Louise, that's what everybody only talks about. The history, where we came from. Everybody loves putting so much stake in that. Not me, not so much. Let's we move on. Everything's trash in the past compared to what it is now, so let's keep moving on. I mean, geez. That's just how I see it. Yeah, I think that's kind of, once again, 100% overcorrection. We were way racist, so let's overcorrect it and not even bring up anything with Native Americans. You could still, dude, the Washington tribe is calling it something a tribe. Is that racist? Because if so, Survivor, they should be canceled then. So it's like, what are we doing here? But let's see what they're saying. Quote, "We have 89 years of history in this league, and failing to acknowledge our past use of Native imagery is the consideration of the new name wouldn't be mindful of the individuals and communities that were hurt by the previous name." But were they? That's what I'm saying. I don't think the Native Americans were the ones that were really kind of truly speaking out. It was the social justice Twitter mafia, I think. I'm going to do some more research on this. We'll have an update on this tomorrow, definitely. But once again, it's like, what are we doing? All right, but here we go. Quote, we've made significant changes in our organization, in our culture, and our new name must reflect these changes. Do they? Do they? I don't think they do. Learn from it. Have a better just kind of infrastructure structure in the front office. The name can still be Native Americanized. I don't get why we have to go 100% away from the Native Americans. Quote, to that end, we will choose an identity that unequivocally departs from any use or approximate linkage to Native American imagery. Jeez! So you're now you're being racist against the Native Americans because you won't even talk about them anymore. So once again, we're 100%, 1,000% overcorrecting the issue here. Gee, like this is I'll say it, this is stupid. This is dumb. Still respect the heritage, still respect the culture, still respect the 89 years of history that you have. Just don't do it racistly. How hard is that? Y'all are saying it's so hard to come up with a non-racist Native American saying? Just don't call them redskin. Folks, jeez. I don't get it. Here we go. Let's continue with the article. Wright singled out a particular mascot candidate, Warriors, as an example of a moniker the franchise is attempting to avoid adopting. Quote, one might look at this name as a natural and even harmless transition, considering that it does not necessarily or specifically carry a negative connotation. Exactly, it doesn't. The Golden State Warriors. People are warriors, folks. The Coliseum days, they were warriors fighting lions. It's got nothing tied to Native Americans or any kind of negative connotation. And they still want to steer away from that. What are we doing? Quote, but as we learned through our research and engagement with various groups, context matters and that it makes it a slippery slope. Context matters, yes. Context is the only thing that matters. That's why I don't hold words themselves that powerful. It's the context behind the words that is, in my opinion, more important than the word themselves. So if we're saying these people are warriors, we're holding them into a good light. We can choose our context that we want to hold. No, we're calling the Native Americans warriors. We all signify warriors as kind of good. That's like a good thing. You're a fucking warrior, yo. I'm a fucking warrior, yo. Like, let's see what the actual definition of warrior is. Let's bring this up. Warrior definition. Let me bring this up. I want to know the actual definition of a warrior. Here we go. Warrior. A brave or experienced soldier or fighter. A brave! Brave! That's a good thing! We all want to be brave! Or it could be the second meaning, which is also probably pretty good for Washington's team. Any of a number of standing poses in yoga in which the legs are held apart and the arms are stretched outwards. Be that, and just have the Native Americans doing yoga on the helmet. Simple. Folks, warrior is fine. I don't get this. A warrior is a person specializing in combat or warfare, especially within the context of a tribal or clan-based warrior culture society that recognizes a separate warrior class or caste. Is this bad? Am I wrong? Am I way out of my realm of thinking that just the name warrior is so bad? So what the hell is going on here, folks? Warrior, the Washington Warriors is fine. I don't see, we're having the Native Americans in a positive light. All right, whatever. Y'all do what y'all do. I'm just living in y'all world. I can't change anything. I'm just living in it. Here we go. Last quote. Quote, feedback from across communities we engaged clearly revealed deep-seated discomfort around warriors, with the clear acknowledgement that it is too closely aligned with Native American themes, such an embrace of potentially Native adjacent iconography. Jeez. Iconography and imagery would not represent a clear departure that many communities have so forcefully advocated for us to embrace, and that, frankly, we set out to do when we started this process a year ago. Okay. I guess. I mean, okay. They're tying the word warrior to negative connotation light of Native Americans. I mean, if y'all can do that, why can't you just tie it to a positive light? I mean, you know, I just don't. I guess I'm just not understanding. If y'all are understanding, okay, I'm just not understanding it. Maybe y'all need to tell me what I'm just not understanding here. But all right, we'll see what they choose to do. It's not going to be Warriors. It's not going to be the Washington Warriors, and they will do nothing along the note of Native Americans. So they will whitewash a name. And they will do a whitewash name. And isn't that what we're supposed to not be doing? We're supposed to be, you know, embracing all these cultures, not whitewashing it, not kind of memory holding it, not sending it into oblivion. Don't we want to embrace and celebrate? Isn't that what y'all pride for? We want to celebrate everything, which I've got no problem with. Celebrate it. Yeah, you know, if you're proud, go ahead and celebrate. I don't care what y'all do. Yes, do it. But we can't celebrate Native Americans, I guess, because everything is just negative. Everything y'all think of a Native American is negative. So, all right, we'll see what name they choose, but it's not going to be anything Native American wise.